everybody.
Hey
This
guys.
is episode 21.5. It's a mini episode. It's actually mini episode 6, I think. And we're going to talk about the writer's journal.
Yeah, because we've talked about it a few times during our podcasts and stuff.
Yeah,
So
you carry one with you all the time.
I do. I have many. So
All right. So what is journaling? Journaling is writing that can boost creativity and thinking. It is unhampered by logic or grammar. You can write down your goals, your thoughts, scenes, descriptions. You can doodle. That would be me.
yeah.
I like to doodle. It's basically for anything you want it to be for.
Yeah, I like to, so for mine personally, like I use it as a brainstorming platform. I do write scenes and descriptions, and most of that is just trying to figure out, I'm trying to feel out my characters, or I'm trying to make lists of things, or if I have a thought, randomly, I'll write it down in there, and then it's there forever. And so I think for me, journaling is it's more about brainstorming and just getting ideas down on the page.
That's how frickin' Fairy started. The whole novel started with the very first sentence popped into my head, and I wrote it down, and I used the note function on that, and it was just that sentence, and it sat in my phone for a long time until I was like, okay, I'm ready to write, and I wrote a whole book on it, and it's going to be books after books after books.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, because I use my phone a lot too, especially if I'm at work and I'm in the middle of something and I have just a random sentence that pops into my head. I'm like, oh, I need to write that down, so I'll write it down. I also use my phone when I want to remember a dream that could be used in writing, because I don't have my notebook next to my bed. I don't ever keep it there, but my phone, however, is there. So when I wake up from a dream where I'm like, I could use this in a book, I immediately write it in my phone. So
now, back in the olden days, like we had talked about, I guess we should mention this is still the same day. We're recording again. We're same clothes, same hair.
Same clothes. Yep.
We're trying to get 2 episodes done in this time period. But back in the day, when I lived in Athens, Georgia, and had to commute from Athens to Gwinnett County for my job at the DA's office, I carried a recording machine. There were no cell phones yet at that. Boy, do I date myself or what? But I carried a recording machine because that drive was actually my writing time, my thought time. I thought about plots. I thought about all kinds of things. And so I had a little, it was like the shape of a little rectangle. And as I drove, I would record thoughts on it and everything else. So that was my journal at that point. And I got a lot done on that hour drive back and forth between the 2 counties.
That actually is a good idea. Like, even if it is dated, mind you.
Yes.
But cell phones exist now, and cell phones can record. So
that's true.
You can still do that. And I think that's actually a good idea, because whenever I come and visit home, 45 minutes away or whatever, I'm constantly thinking about my books. And so being able to record it is actually,
yeah. It used to be an hour drive because there was no 316. I had to go 29 to get to work.
That sounds awful.
I know. Long time ago.
That is wow. I don't remember a time before 316.
I know. Long time ago.
Wow.
I know. I'm old. So why journal? Free writing, there's a lot of reasons, honestly.
Yeah.
Free writing can help master skills. Journal writing helps you be more precise about goal setting. You're practicing. Practice makes perfect. It's not just for ideas that come to your mind, but it's actual physical, the act of writing and practicing that art. Writing is an art.
Yeah.
And practicing that in your journal helps make you better. It's memory boosting, which I guess I need to do a lot more journaling to help my memory. Supposedly, according to studies, it increases your ability to retain concepts if you journal.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I guess because you write it down and you're more likely to remember things that you physically write down. I don't know.
I think it's using more than one sense. We can think it, but physically holding a pen and writing it is adding an additional layer to that memory. So I think that might be, I don't know.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. stress relief. It helps you slow down. This is something you've said before, that you
Yes.
like the fact that it makes you slow down. I think a million miles a minute. I don't like to slow down. I'm go, 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 go. I like my thoughts to go, go, go. My typing is as fast as my thoughts. So
I think that's why I don't like typing my thoughts out, is because I think them so quickly. I feel overwhelmed. So I'm like, where do I start? Where do I start by typing this out? I have to type out all the blah, 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 and then I just don't, then I never start. Whereas if I sit down to write it, then once I start writing out the first thought, then I have to follow that thought through. It makes me slow down. I have to think it.
maybe it's because I type so fast. Mike, my husband, your father, sits across from me at our desk, and he can tell when I'm writing. He knows when I'm writing and working on a book, because the keyboard just flies. I type really, really fast. I'm 100 plus words a minute, and he knows when I'm writing. But that's how fast my brain goes.
Yeah.
And so it all just comes out, and I don't have a problem, especially with free writing, where you're not bound by grammar and you're not bound by spelling and you're not bound, you're just writing. To me, that's the way to go. If I journal, I think I would be more inclined to do it on the computer. I don't like to slow down. I go fast. Everything about me is fast.
I think part of it too is I like the freedom of, if I want to draw an arrow to this thought and connect it to this one up here and like draw it and do that kind of thing. Because I do a lot of that in my journals. I'll write something up here and then I go down and then I'm like, oh, I want to do this, and then blah, blah. And then I'm like, oh, this actually connects really well to this. And I don't have to move the whole sentence up, and I can just arrow it.
I have art journals.
Yeah.
I have tons of art journals, which may be the same purpose that you have in the writing journal. I do with my art. And I just, when I watch TV at night, I have an art journal, and I have my colored pencils and pens, and I doodle. Yeah. So you're right. The ability to have that freedom where you're not confined to what the computer can do. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
And you can doodle while you are journaling as well. It doesn't have to just be words. It can be art.
Right.
I liked that this lady, Maria Popova, she said journaling it helps you reach that elusive art of solitude. And I thought, what a neat phrase that is. Journaling, it brings you to yourself, and it helps you reach that elusive point of solitude.
That's true. I like that quote. I feel like it's because I feel like journals are very personal in the way that you design them, the way that you lay them out, the way that you want to go about things. I like that quote a lot.
And it's not, a journal is not for other people to look at. It's for you. So you don't have to worry about someone else is going to read this. Oh my God, this is for you. It's your words. It's your thoughts.
You have gone through my journal now.
I have gone through your journal now. You're right. And it was impressive. Now I'm impressed by her.
Oh, thank you.
I coined the phrase just now.
Oh, okay. Quote Sherry Ellison.
Journal is a pocket full of life.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, it is.
Yeah, and you carry it around with you. It's your pocket. It's in your pocket. Your journals a lot of times are those small little things.
Absolutely. I think I mentioned that somewhere in my notes later, so I'll talk about that. But no, for sure. I think so because, I feel like that's accurate on many levels because a lot of my journaling does have to do with characterization and fleshing out a character. So I write scenes that way. And so like their lives are in those journals.
And you know what? The journal that you left here had notes from one of your classes in it. It was like statistics or something. I don't know.
It was probably statistics, but hey, I had the journal and it had paper in it. I needed it.
Yeah. So I'm going through and I'm reading all this cool stuff about writing ideas. And then I get to this stuff and I'm like, what the hell does that mean? I don't even know what that is. And
I'm pretty sure it was stats.
That's math of some kind. No, thank you.
Well, I agree with that. I do not like stats, but I needed paper. So
yeah, it was pretty funny. So that really is your pocket full of life. That day happened to be, you needed it for class. And
Absolutely.
so let's see what else. It's bits and pieces that can be used in future pieces of work. That, like the sentence, the very first sentence in Frickin' Fairies. If I never see another frickin' fairy, it'll be too soon. Something
Yeah.
like that is my very first line. And I carried that around in my phone for probably 2 years before I was like, that's a book. And I wrote a book.
The number of things I have in my phone that could start a book just because I had an idea on them, and they're just sitting in there. And I do the same thing in my handwritten journals. I'll have, I'll hear somebody say something. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna write that down because that could be something somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like we talked about in another episode, you'll hear something on a TV show and you're like, oh, that's brilliant. And you write it down in your little journal, and it's fodder for later books.
The book I'm writing right now is actually inspired by a video game that I was playing with my girlfriend and Jordan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
what book are you writing right now?
Mac 2.
Oh, Mac 2 is, oh, which I'm ready for that one. Write faster.
It's got 5,000 words on it.
Write faster.
Hey, calm down.
Okay. We're getting off the point. This is supposed to be a mini.
Yes.
It captures living moments. It sparks creativity and cuts down the time that you spend on social media. When you're in a physical book, you aren't on the computer.
That's true. Yeah.
And how often do we get dragged down that Twitter rabbit hole or the Facebook rabbit hole or TikTok?
Well, yes, it is addictive.
It is. I love those videos on TikTok where they're like, the parent is going, the kid asks, can we download TikTok? And the parent's like, I have to check it out first. And then all of a sudden the parent's doing all the videos and all. Yeah, TikTok. I can't get my 14-year-old on TikTok. I have a TikTok and she doesn't have a TikTok. She's like, no. If my mom likes it, no.
Absolutely not.
Let's see. Here's another quote. You want to write, you need to keep an honest, unpublished journal that nobody reads, nobody but you. That was Madeline Langle. That was what she tells her aspiring writers that she teaches.
Yeah.
You've got, and it's just for you. You don't want to have to worry about someone might see this. That's the whole point. It's what you can write when you're unafraid of other people seeing it.
Right. Yeah.
It helps you become more confident about your writing. It broadens your perspective on topic. You can explore it when you free write or stream of consciousness. That's what we called it back in the day. This is an episode.
That a lot today.
I have said that a lot today. I guess I'm feeling my age today. I don't know. You can write unfettered.
Yeah.
You learn a lot about yourself as you explore topics. You might take a topic and not know what you even think about it. And so journal about it.
Right.
And you might change your mind by the time you get through to the end. That's what it's for. You're exploring your thoughts in a written format.
Yeah.
You write without fear of criticism, which is what I just said. It's a good place to do writing prompt work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I think I've talked about it. I do sentence writing where I'm given a sentence and then I write a whole page about it.
Do you do it in your journal?
I have before, yeah.
Huh.
So I mostly do it on the computer, but I have done it in my journal before. So I think, but it goes in line with prompts, writing prompts in your journal.
Okay. I think you had other stuff after still under that why journal issue, or have we talked? Okay.
No, I do.
Okay.
All right. So we have talked about this one, but it is a good place to write down the ideas you have, and I put them in my phone and all that kind of stuff. But I have pages upon pages of just ideas for future books.
How many journals do you have?
I don't know. At least 3 filled ones.
Where do you keep them?
Well, there's one sitting on my TV stand. There's like 6 in that back room behind me, but most of those are empty. I have 3 on my bookshelf, some that are partially full, one that is completely full, and then the one that you have, which I think is 3/4 of the way full, if not.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was not all the way full. It was about three
yeah.
quarters.
So it's about 3/4 of the way full, and so a lot. I have a lot.
Like my art journals, I've got several. I mean, and I keep finding them in places. I don't have a set spot for them, and so I'll come across one and I'm like, "What's this?" And I start going, "Oh yeah, I remember throwing that." I found one where I was doodling during one of the Super Bowls like 4 years ago.
Oh
And
wow!
I had drawn this little bird, and it had the little flag and with the colors of whatever team it was I was rooting for. I mean,
Oh my God!
I know, I know.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, kind of neat.
um, they're a good place to keep my notes on writing the craft, on honing my craft of writing. I put all of my how-to plot notes in there, or how to do subplot notes, or the character charts that I make. I write notes on that and show myself how to do them so that I can do them again later. So I put a lot of that stuff in there. I think the notebook that you have is actually mostly that stuff.
It is. It's got a lot of that stuff in it.
Yeah. Whereas the one that I have here is actually mostly plot work, like actual plotting and working on characters and scenes. I have a lot more scenes in this one that I have here than I do in the one that you have there. Although I think there are still some scenes in there.
There definitely were some scenes in that one.
Yeah. I like to put background info on my stories in them. Because a lot of the time when I'm writing, background stuff goes through my head throughout the workday. So I can pull out my notebook and I'll write it down really quick in between lab visits or whatever. And then I think we've talked about this, but I think better while handwriting. It does make me slow down. So I start in the journal, and then I do transfer them to the computer because I want to have copies of them, and I want to make sure that I can access them easily without having to flip through my millions of journals.
How do you back up your computer, by the way?
I have several flash drives, so I'll just back it up on one of those. Because I actually did that recently because I had a battery charge scare. So
that's good, because I crashed the computer. It was about 6 years ago and lost everything. And I took it to the Geek Squad. They could not recover it. I mean, it was awful.
That
so
sucks.
Everybody, please back up your work. I think you email yourself your books in progress as you go so that you can always find it on your email. Do something, because if you have worked on a book and finished it and had that epiphany like we both have had now, if you lose that, it would be devastating. It would be absolutely devastating. So back up your work, people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just saying. That has nothing to do with journals, but just saying.
But do it.
Okay. Was that everything, or you still got more?
No, that was everything on why journaling. Yeah.
Okay. So what to look for in a journal? Think about the size. Is this one that you're going to carry in your back pocket, or are you going to carry it in your purse, or is it going to be, the size of a computer, or are you going to put it in your computer case? So that's a personal choice.
Yeah, I have, just to break in here, I have very small notebooks that I've traveled with everywhere. And the only stuff that I wrote in these tiny ones were scenes. That came into my head, and they fit in my pocket. So whenever I thought of something, a scene or whatever, I could pull it out and do that. I have a very specific example in mind of when I would do this. And I used to work in the swamps of Florida, catching birds. And so I was constantly in water, and my job was basically to wait until a bird hit a net. And so we were sitting in the swamp. And so I didn't want to have my phone out there, but I still wanted to be able to write things down and work on scenes and do that kind of stuff. So I had my little notebook. And so I have, that's where I filled up most of that notebook, was sitting in a swamp, waiting for birds to hit a net, and it was tiny, so I could carry it in my pocket. So
that makes me think of Handy Dandy Notebook.
Oh, geez. Yes.
Blue's Clues, everybody.
Blue's Clues.
Is that dated, or is Blue's Clues still around?
I don't think it's still around. It was around when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So it was my show.
We watched Blue's Clues. I remember, with the Handy Dandy Notebook.
Yeah, yeah,
This is all our handy dandy notebooks, everybody.
it absolutely is.
So yeah, keep that in mind when you're talking about size, when you're thinking about size. That's
Yeah,
something for you. The mini one was perfect. The material, you can have a sturdy cover, or you can have a softer cover fits better in your back pocket. A sturdy cover, if you're going to be carrying it around everywhere, is probably better. It just depends on where you're going to go with it. Is this
right.
going to stay in your apartment all the time, or is it going to go with you out into the swamps of Florida? So keep that in mind when you think about. There are so many journals out there, people. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. My favorites, and I have a million of them. They're called Moleskine notebooks.
Hmm. I like
And they
those for art. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And they come in all kinds of sizes, and they come with hardback or softback or whatever you want. And they are more expensive, but I'm so spoiled by them now. They're really great quality, and the paper is great quality. And I have a lot of empty ones that I plan to fill up at some point. But they're great. I love them.
How big are they?
Ooh, they do come in different sizes, but the size of my face at the moment.
Okay.
But no, they're small, and they fit in my pocket, and that's the one that I used in Florida. So
Okay. Okay. Neat. Also design. They've got journals with lines, which for writing, that is what I prefer. I'm one of those people that writes on a slant, so I need the lines if I'm going to write in a journal. Some people
definitely,
like the blank ones. There's blank ones. There's dot ones.
yeah.
There's all kinds of journals out there.
I do want to throw in here. Consider the cover of your journal. Consider like what it does look like, because I'm very guilty of getting fancy looking journals and then being like, I never want to write in this because it looks too fancy and I want to put something
Ah,
good in it. That one is still blank. It is. I still have not written in that one because it has a nice fancy cover. It's somewhere in my apartment, and I haven't written in it because, why write in that one when I could write in a composition notebook, and that one is only $3 versus however expensive that fancy one was. So just
yeah.
be aware of that. Like if you want to get a writing journal, make sure that you're willing to write in it, kind of
I
thing.
mean,
So
I like the pretty ones, and to me, it's worth the cost of buying the fancy schmancy one to write in. I love that kind of thing. I actually am considering. I've made some. Oh, what do I call it? For my Etsy store, I've made it's a journal, and I've only made one, and it took me forever to make it because I hand drew everything on it.
not
I
your
don't
book of
remember,
shadows.
but my Book of
Book of
Shadows.
shadows. Yeah.
And so I'm now considering, after doing the Book of Shadows, which I had all the borders and stuff were hand drawn and hand colored with the ink and all that. They were really pretty. But I sold that one. I'm considering making writer's notebooks after doing research for this. I think I could do that.
Yeah.
So that might be kind of cool. I might sell some in a little while.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So that'd be fun. But like you said, be willing to write in it. That's what books are for. That's
Right.
what these notebooks are for.
Yeah.
Is to write in. So, if you want to buy a fancy schmancy one, like you said, be willing to write into it.
Definitely.
I think that was all I had on journals.
Yeah, I did want to point out there are journals, like you said, that like you're planning on making, that will have prompts and stuff inside them. If
Oh
you're
yeah.
afraid of if you don't know what to write in a journal, then you could get one that already has prompts in it, or that says, what do you want to write today, or what did you do today, or what have you thought about writing today, or like that kind of stuff. So if you
Yeah, that's a great idea. I think there are prompt books out there. There's a name for it, I think that. But yeah, they come pre-done, and all you have to do is write that day, and
yeah,
that's an excellent study in the practice of writing.
yeah, absolutely. And I think it's, if you're afraid of just filling out a blank page, that can give you a head start and like get you thinking about what you want to write about in a journal. So
That's true. So journal, people.
journal.
That's all I got.
That's all I've got. Awesome.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for listening. See you next time.